Hello there, this is my round 1 of Edison World Championship Qualifier 8. I'll be doing the commentary for each round of the tournament to show my point of view during the whole tournament, and I hope this can be helpful. So here my opponent is backtothebando. As this is round 1, I have no idea what they're going to play, so let's just start with the replay. So I go second, and okay. Well, I wish my 6th card is a frog monster, maybe something which can lead me to Reborn Frog, but we'll see. It's not even terrible because I have Fader plus Ryza, but okay, my opponent has 6 cards and they do nothing. This substitute is great. At this point, my opponent might play a Frog deck, a Dragon Turbo deck, or maybe just Vayu Turbo, but they want to summon Gourds. But I think that I will just go with Substitute, not even Oi, because next turn he will be forced to do something, because of they will have 7 cards. And right after that, I'll see what to do actually, because I will have. Let's see what's going to be the scenario. This one, so Swap Frog and Send Reborn. I do not want to attack because of Gourds. And next turn I have many options with my Reborn, because if my opponent set a monster, I can summon this one, Armetsi Hunter, to attack it and maybe negate the effect, or Ryza, but at that point, Gourds could be a problem. And this move has the advantage that I can use the Reborn Frog for Aoi on my opponent's next turn. And depending on the situation, if they attack with something, I can use Battle Fader, and with Reborn I can summon Light and Darkness Dragon. I could do so even if my opponent doesn't attack, because with Swap Frog and Armetsi Hunter I can special summon Swap Frog, then Reborn, and tribute both of them for Light and Darkness Dragon. But that would be really card consuming, and doing so without a previous Aoi, I don't actually like it. So I will see what I'm going to do, especially based on what my opponent is going to do. Let's see. Okay. Not a Dragon Turbo deck, but in some kind of Frog deck. Reborn is played even in some quick draw decks, but is less unlikely. Of course, this makes my Light and Darkness Dragon less, less good in this situation, little worse. But still, it's not that bad, because it can inflict a lot of damage. Not now, but maybe later. Testalos is quite of good. The problem is that I don't want to use it quite yet. I want to use my Aoi first, so I will use the Reborn. But at this point, Swap or Hunter. Maybe Swap Frog is a little bit better, because Hunter would be just for the damage. In case of Gourds, it would not be that terrible, but still I think that I will just go with Reborn and use this as unexpected, maybe in next turn. Let's see if there is an actual Gourds. I don't think so, no. And now I am in a really good position. After the I wait my opponent to summon the Reborn before I do my Oi, because I can actually I want this Reborn for maybe Hunter or Rise or maybe Caius that I draw. And so I wait this, but at this point I won't wait for Caius. I mean, I could, because if they tribute this for Caius, they're not going to banish it, but this is not the kind of situation that I want to happen, because then I would Raiza his Caius, but then I will do the 3-1 Caius the turn later, and it will be not so good. So I do this now, and let's see what they have. Okay, so it's a frog, maybe more, I don't know if it's a classic frog or a hero, because these discard traps might let me think about hero or even plant. Diddy Crow, I don't know. Usually you may use it in a more classic frog, also fader. So I cannot figure out the list right now, because there are so many cards that I mean, I wouldn't be playing all of this. I mean, not Digro, Phoenix, and Fader. I mean, I don't know how many slots, maybe just a couple of these, 1 or 2 of these, I don't know. But still, I have to focus on what I'm going to discard. The discard traps actually are not that bad. I mean, this one on my Treeborn would be not so good, but not so bad either. Gorts might be a problem, but I have Light and Darkness, so it depends. It kind of depends on the situation. I mean, now that my opponent has Treeborn, if they want to use a discard trap, they have to... I mean, I might be forcing, if they set 1, and then I summon, I don't know, Testaros or Raiza, they are kind of forced to use it for the trigger. They did not chain the Crow at this point. I have 2 trigger. They should draw another one, maybe, and I don't. So I mean, it's very unlikely to happen, so I won't be discarding this one. And my opponent, I think they think the same, because otherwise they would have discarded this. So, I mean, Fader, I mean, between these two, of course, Fader is less of a threat. So, I think I just discarded Caius, because I want to start summoning Monarchs or Armed Hunter next turn. And that's the only active card for the turn later of my opponent. Also, it is interesting that if my opponent sets this one and I summon Sea Hunter, I could use the not distracted. I mean, the effect of not being distracted. But still, in that case, I would not negate the Tribune. I mean, this almost. It will depend on my opponent's choice, but I have so many options, so I will just take Caillou. Ah no, Gorts. Oh, I kind of... okay, because I was kind of sure maybe of negating that one. Okay, I mean, it was... those were the 2 main cards, because as my opponent doesn't have any good cards to discard, I'm just gonna keep this one. Of course, this can be a little more of a trouble, but in case I draw into an enemy controller, is far less of a problem. Of course, my opponent's enemy controller is not a concern at all at this point, so let's see what they're going to do. They just pass. This is kind of risky because of Caius, mostly. I mean, from my opponent's point of view, but I do have something more interesting, which is Sea Hunter, and I think that I'm going to do it, because if I summon, I mean, let's see it. If I summon Raiza, for example, it is good to bounce this one, but if I attack and I would wish to attack, my opponent would summon this one, Fader, then tribute for Caius, and the Treeborn that I bounced, my opponent would discard it with one of these 2 cards, and that's not what I want. So I will just negate that Treeborn like forever. Also, I'm not actually risking my Treeborn, except in the situation when my opponent draws into Soul Exchange, because they could Soul X Hunter and then banish this one, and after that the DD Crow would be really strong, but still I would have other options. I mean, in that case I could set this one maybe just so that it's not negated, but I mean, I think I am betting of my opponent not draw into Soul Exchange. Okay, I cannot summon. Okay, Tribune is negated. Okay. Well, now I know my opponent has Fader, and that's the only way they can start to play, actually. So I want to summon Light and Darkness Dragon at this point because it can negate it. I have an option, like to discard this one, to special summon swap, and then tribute both of those monsters to inflict more damage, and it would negate twice. That would be okay, but in mirror matches, I usually prefer to bounce Testalos with Swap Frog effect, so I think that's something that I will do later. My opponent has chainable cards, so Light and Darkness I think will last one turn, but then I'm not. I mean, I have other options, so it's gonna be okay. Okay, one. Okay, okay, just one. It's okay, because they can chaining one Fader, and then Light and Darkness, and then the discard trap chaining two. I'm not going to use the Tribune, of course. Now, I mean, I have more options. I think that at this point I actually missed the Fader plus trap, discard trap chain. So I want to go for damage with Hunter, but that's not an actual problem because I have so many options for next turn, even double and even the Fader. So I have just to be careful not to have my Tribord not banished because of these two. So I must be careful with that. Chaining 1, chaining 2, chaining 3 is going to resolve, and so Fader. So I'm going to draw Light and Darkness Dragon. Okay, not actually the best, but since my opponent doesn't have any summonable Tribord, I am kind of good with this. I'm going to take Arcaius. No doubt about that. I mean, Ryza, okay, in fact, I mean, a monster. So now I'm going to draw Sea Hunter and Light and Darkness Dragon. Should I summon Fader? So my opponent has not Fader, but like a break, enemy controller, and maybe two unknown cards, and Caius. Yeah, and one unknown card. I think I might be doing Fader, not just damage. I mean, yeah, versus classic frog deck. Fader, I mean, I should think about summoning Fader in earlier turns in case I think they run Light and Darkness Dragon, they main deck Vanity Fiend or Dark Dust Spirit. No, Dark Dust Spirit, no, I would keep it for later. But still, I think he's in a pretty bad position. But with their enemy, they might try to OTK, maybe, in some way that I don't know. And Fader might be good for that. Possibly. Tribor. And the enemy Testalos is really good at this point. Also big. Oh, I didn't. Okay, I thought that I was going to enemy controller. I mean, I know they have their own enemy controller, and if they chain it to the no, so that they can draw one more card, it's kind of good to me because I stay with this monster even if I haven't done any damage. So let's see if they want to tribute or just. Okay, so they have Ryza, Caius, Regagi Break, enemy controller. Oh, no, they discard enemy controller. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe it's Regagi Break, but still, without frogs, it's not that good. Oh, they have Testaros. Good. Testaros, Ryza, Caius. Well, I think I'm pretty in a good situation, pretty much in a good situation. They don't have any frog, they're drawing the same cards. I knew I was going to draw this one, but now Testaros is really, really strong. Because even Soul Ryza is not going to help him. I mean, if they draw into Ryza or into Soul Exchange or whatever. Damage, and at this point, even if they summon something, I have enemy controller. So enemy controller lab also. Okay. Now I'm using Vanity Fiend mostly. I think Trap Stun and Typhoon because I see they're using discard traps and yeah, some other trap as well. But still, I'm going to leave some Battle Fader. I mean, this is good. This hand has many responses to what my opponent can do. Because, let's see, that should, no. So I can substitute and swap frog, even if my opponent summon Vanity Fiend, I have Soul Vanity on my own, so it's really good and for this matchup. Anything? No, nothing. So I'm okay. A good position. Let's see if they. I mean, at this point. I mean, yeah. If they had this frog the previous turn, I think they would have summoned it, set it. So I know many things about what my opponent doesn't have. Treeborn, I mean, Treeborn they might actually have it with a discard trap, but no swap frog or substi, I guess. And the dupe, if they have it, it was drawn this turn. So now I have multiple options. Let's see if my opponent has the grow. Okay, they don't. Now, I think worst option is to summon Vanity Fiend and attack, because in that case, if my opponent has actually any trap able to destroy this one, or even an enemy controller to switch it to this defense position, they can next turn tribute that mysterious monster to actually summon their own Vanity Fiend. And of course, then I would have Soul X in my Vanity Fiend, but I think that would be really, I would be using too many resources. Another good option is Substi with the Soul Exchange, of course, but if my opponent chains Regagi Break or Phoenix, I won't have the lock. Then my opponent can tribute and maybe with Ryza stall me a little bit too much. I think that Caius is a good option because I'm going to banish the monster they set. That could even be a Tribune Frog. We know from DB that it's not. But still, I'm kind of sure it's their only, not totally sure, but that could be their only frog. And except with a Torrential Tribute, it will be banished. Also, if they have like a black and the Treeborn, then they could do a vanity move, but then I would have Solex vanity. And I think that I have, that's the right option. Okay. Okay, this is good. I mean, this is a plain card advantage. I triple this one, but it costed me nothing to banish this one. And if they use any card, even a prison, he will be using 2 cards for one of mine. That is advantage. Also, I have 2 vanity fins, so I do want this Caius to get any trap. Okay, perfect. I guess they do not have any frog, and I will go with vanity. Not good Crow. I mean, at this point, I could think of doing the substitute, the frog lock with substitute, but still, I feel that I mean, I would be good for sending all the frogs to the grave or on the field, so that I don't draw more frogs. But still, with something like frog and plus monarch, they could soul a monarch. They could get rid of my lock. Still, I would have so many options, but I want to pressure now because he had the 1000 damage. This is 24 sure. No, they don't. There's nothing they can do about this, and I have kind of a card advantage too. There might be any trap able to destroy it or something they said not to discard. I mean, that could be intimidating. I mean, just intimidating, or maybe it is okay, this is good for me because once more they use 2 cards for one of mine, and that's good. Now, I mean, I should not summon Swap Frog for the effect for many reasons. Firstly, because if then I bounce it, I have to discard 1. Secondly, I don't know my opponent's deck, but they might have a Soul Release. In that case, banishing both my Treeborn would be bad. If they had Diddy Crow, I think they might have used it already. Maybe not this turn. I mean, because I couldn't use Treeborn, but I mean, they could have. So I think that's totally safe to set Substi, which is not an usual move, of course, because the lock is very strong. This is quite risky, but my opponent might think it's a Deep Frog, so he's not much interested in destroying it just to destroy it. Also, if they summon a Vanity Fiend, like with special summoning a frog, but I don't think because they don't have 1 frog, it's difficult, they have 2. But Solex Vanity, for example, which is the pretty much standard move, you have to watch out for in mirror match. I have even a stronger response, Brain Vanity, so I will do this, just set the substitute. Okay. So if, what I said previously, if I, instead of Vanity, I would have done the lock, maybe he had the Soul Raiza, and that would be bad, because I would be drawing the same card 2 turns, and then of course Brain Vanity I would have done, but still the Reggae Break, I mean, another out maybe, or maybe a bluff. Now, the good thing about this is that if I Brain Control and attack, he might think that I want to tribute for Raiza or Caius, because 1 Vanity is gone, and they might think that they cannot have another one. So they can activate maybe anything, just so that I don't have the card to banish, or if it is actually a prison or something like that, for the third time, it would be +1 in the same game, because I would be using 1 card and they would be using 2. So let's see, this is why I have 7 cards in total. Okay, this is good. They might be thinking, oh, I'm not, you cannot summon Caius, and that's true. I mean, you can, but of course without advantage. But in Vanity, it is with advantage. So I still have Soul plus, in this case, Caius. So I do have an out to Vanity. Okay, this is unlucky because the first, I mean, depending on the other cards they have, but this is the first frog, and it's not in the right spot. Okay, I mean, I do know what they want to do, because they have probably they have one enemy controller. This might explain why they did this one so easy, maybe because they have 2. So they want me to to attack, switch this to defense position, so that next turn they can tribute this one. I can avoid this by summoning Swap Frog. At this point, I don't think I fear Soul Release, because they have so few cards, and even if you do, I have some response. So I will just send the second tribble and attack with this one. Okay, no tribble, no Mirror Force of Torrential Trouble, of course. Let's see. Okay, this is another one. This might be a good trap, or maybe just another bluff, so that I don't summon more monsters. But if they activate Mirror Force, I can set Duke Frog. Yeah, I'm kind of cool. Okay, I set this one, of course, for the same reason, because my opponent set maybe his own, so that if they attack, the monster is, to protect the monster. But if they have something like Prison or a Gag Break on this one, still I can attack with this one. I wouldn't risk Torrential Tribute with summoning Caius, because I would be left with nothing. No tributes, so I will just attack this way. It could take one more turn to win, but I'm really safer. Also with enemy controller, at this point, if they summon a Monarch or whatever, I can just use it to take the monster and attack directly. Now they must have a response. Okay. At this point, I know they do not have Reggae Break, Mirror Force, or whatever, because that was the obvious choice. Also, they don't have Soul X plus Monarch or whatever, because next in the previous turn they would have done it. So I'm kind of good. Maybe I said the Duke Frog. No, maybe I don't. I could have. That may be a good trap card or not. Let's see. In attack position. Okay, now Caius can bring me to victory. Also, I have Ryza, so let's see. Okay, this might be the top deck they had. Now, if they have Torrential Tribute, when I try this one, I'm not that worried, because I can attack with frogs. I have Ryza for next turn, I'm controller. I'm in a good position, actually. Okay, now yes, I can not risk anything with this additional, because next turn, if there is a Torrential or Bottomless right now, I can attack with this one and go for game. This is the additional, and this is the normal target. Okay, no, he drew into 3 enemy controller, and the other one in hand was Caius, so it was really bad, actually. This one was too little too late, actually. So this was the first, this was the first match of the tournament. I mean, we saw just... I mean, this was a pretty good end for me, this late game, with a solid double vanity and frogs. My opponent didn't see that. In game 1, Aoi was really strong, and I mean, I could play around all of their card, forcing my opponent to use the discard traps when they did not have any good cards to discard, and so I made that really solid advantage. And I think this is what made the difference here. Thank you for watching.